Rimworld is an amazing game with so many things to do in it, and so I'd like to talk more about it. I said in the last video that I would do one on Rimworld since I just did one on Kenshi, so I'm doing something a little different. Instead of reading from a script, I figure, why not just talk about it as if I'm talking to a friend or another person instead of to a microphone, you know? So let's see how this goes, and if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, tell me to shut up and read from a script. Now, I'm not going to go over the same exact points that I made in Kenshi last time, because that would just be a dumb, boring repeat video that nobody wants to watch. So I guess this time I'll think of some new ones that I could talk about, which there are a lot to talk about when it comes to this game. First off, I'd like to just talk about the building. The building in this game is a lot of fun. You just build bases, you have to research different things to try and build. You build defenses like turrets, spike traps, stuff like that. It's something that Kenshi really doesn't have. As much as its NPCs are amazing, the base building in Kenshi is a little lackluster. Whereas in Rimworld, you can build whatever you want and just have fun with it. Your base can just have a kill box, or you can set up defenses all around it. Whatever you want to do, you can do. It's your base. While we're on the topic of things that Rimworld has that Kenshi doesn't, DLCs. The Royalty DLC added a lot of stuff. And of course, the most important thing of them is royalty. Different characters in your faction can become royalty and get titles. Now, you might look at your character in Kenshi and think, oh yeah, this is the leader, but you don't have anything really for them to say that they're the leader, like a title or something. Whereas in Rimworld, you know who the leader is because they are called something, like a Yeoman or a Duke. The second DLC is called the Ideology system, but I more think of it as religion or the cultist system, as really, none of us are making a grand religion. We're all just trying to make everybody as sadistic as we can and have a good time with it. Which is another great point I'd like to bring up. Every person in this game doesn't just go by like what everybody else does. They all have their unique likes and dislikes. Things that they want that others might not want. Things that they are great at doing but don't like doing, and vice versa. Now, one of the things I mentioned in a previous video of why we like these games so much really is just the payoff. Because this game, more than any others, you start with nothing sometimes, if you want at least. Whereas in Kenshi, you can just start stealing from all sorts of other places. But in Rimworld, you really have to stay on your map for the good first portion of the game. Whereas if you don't, and you try to go to another place to steal stuff, you will get killed or die of hunger on your travels there. Now granted, there are 1,000,001 things that you can craft right at the beginning of the game that's going to be completely useful to you. But being able to craft a weapon right at the beginning, just so you have something to defend yourself, it's better than nothing. Now while something like a bow isn't a top tier weapon by any means, it is better than nothing, and when you do get a minigun or pulse launchers later on, it just feels great. It feels like you earned it. Now, I've mentioned a few things that Rimworld has that Kenshi doesn't, and my purpose isn't to compare the two and decide which one is a better game. So let's talk about something that they both do have. An amazing world system with all sorts of NPCs. These games both have factions, and each faction may hate each other or like each other, or just tolerate each other. And the same thing doesn't just apply to them, it goes to you too. The factions in this game have their own leaders, and if you kill the leaders, you can actually see the factions changing. And it's not just the people in this game that make the world amazing, it's locations in the world itself, as different locations will have different things going on inside them. You know, different mountains will have different resources, materials, and different areas will have different temperatures, different seasons that you can grow crops. Speaking of food, while each person has their own likes and dislikes, everybody has their needs as well. You need to take care of their joy, their hunger, all sorts of different things, mostly our health. It's really realistic in that regard. And when it comes to health, sometimes it can get really hard to manage, as there's different diseases and sicknesses you can get, as well as malnourishment and people attacking you. And not just people, as there's a few monsters and animals in the game that can attack you as well. But mostly it will be people. When it comes to people trying to attack you in this game, it can get really hard sometimes, because sometimes it might be tribals trying to point you with their sharp sticks, other times it might just be pirates with some basic guns. You may want to stay on the good side of the royals, as they'll come at you with space-age weapons, which is where defenses come into play. Now, one thing I will take from the last video I did is the playstyles. There are all sorts of playstyles in this game. Personally, I find a place on the map, I hunker down and try to build my own spaceship. But you can collect resources, food, and all sorts of stuff, and have a caravan and try to get to a different part of the map to escape the world. Or you can even become really friendly with the royals and get enough royalty power to be able to leave the planet. Some people are just satisfied with attacking other factions and outposts without thinking about the consequences and only staying there for a few days at most, like Vikings. And of course, there are those sadists that will just use one person, trying to build up their skills in combat, cooking, and all sorts of stuff so that they can take care of themselves. Another thing I'll use as an example is the mods. There are all sorts of mods in this game. And a really good portion of these mods don't just add one thing. They'll add all sorts of different items or just straight up different ways to play the game. Whatever your playstyle might be, I guarantee you this game probably has it, which is why we love this game so much. And if you haven't played the game before, then I really urge you to try it, as it is a lot of fun. That'll do it for this video. If you enjoyed the way of just talking to you guys as if you're people instead of talking to a mic or reading a script, make sure to let me know. Leave a comment down below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and or subscribe, as it means so much.